There are many words that come to mind when I look back on 2020. However, I think one word stands out: transformative. Causing or able to cause an important and lasting change in someone or something. 2020 saw me overcome new, unprecedented challenges, and I am a better person for it. Despite all of the hardships this year, I have emerged stronger. This is the story of my 2020. The time before the pandemic feels more distant than just a few months. The world has changed so much. Before the pandemic reached the United States, the year started about as expected. I continued working full-time in marketing for the same company that I did for most of 2019.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Shay.
And I managed to get out and explore Salt Lake City, Utah in February. Fun fact, that video is currently the most viewed on my channel. Despite the slow start creatively, 2020 was set to be the year that I chased after my dreams.
The coronavirus is now in every state and cases are soaring with the threat of a potential shelter in place.
Therefore, tonight, I'm declaring a new state of emergency to address hospital overcrowding.
We now have a total of 27,356.
In March, COVID became more prevalent in the news, and cases began to spread throughout the United States. Almost immediately, the economy slowed. The day after Utah's surprise 2020 earthquake, I got the news that I had been laid off, and the company that I worked for was to be shuttered and sold. Losing my job left me feeling confused and lost. Nobody knew what was going to happen with the growing pandemic. I felt like my future had been ripped from my hands. I applied for unemployment, and BBC News even interviewed me for a story on how COVID had impacted the US economy. While I dealt with applying for work as thousands of other Utahns were laid off, I began creating again in my free time. I wanted to keep busy and spread some positivity during such uncertain times. Soon, though, I turned to an old hobby to cope with the way 2020 had treated me so far: hiking. With COVID making public places unsafe and various orders closing restaurants and other businesses for a brief period of time, I turned to the outdoors. Hiking in Ogden proved to be a fun way to continue creating video content and stay in shape. From Waterfall Canyon and Jump Off Canyon to Coldwater Creek and Adams Creek, hiking in the spring was fun and added a sense of normalcy to the trying times we lived in. I also made it to places I've been wanting to visit for nearly 2 years, such as Spiral Jetty. Around this time, I also started building my Twitter following. Posting photos to the platform and interacting with other creatives helped me cope during the pandemic. After a very dry spring in Utah, it was time to look towards summer. With the possibility of travel ruled out for 2020, I continued to explore Utah and make the most of the situation. I continued to hike the Wasatch Mountains and practice my photography, even seeing my first ever comet early one morning in July. Unfortunately, summer came to a close and I still found myself without a real income. Despite this, I was ready to invest in the future of my photography and this YouTube channel. I wanted to enable myself to be able to create more than just hiking videos, so I upgraded from my Canon 80D to the new Canon R5 mirrorless camera, the camera that I had been waiting for since it was announced. While I haven't had the chance to properly test its capabilities, the possibilities are endless. Fall arrived in Utah, and I was determined to capture as much of the beautiful foliage as I could. I went on my first ever fall hikes with my new camera, such as Wheeler Creek in Ogden and the Wind Caves in Logan. I also stepped outside my comfort zone by attending the October Utah Creative Meetup in Emigration Canyon. While socially distancing, I had the opportunity to shoot portraits for the first time and meet some of the amazing photographers that I met on Twitter. Things began to look up in October. I had my first job interview in months, and I was hired as a part-time intern for a marketing agency. My unemployment woes that began in March had finally ended, and I felt confident about the future once more. 2020 wasn't done throwing curveballs though. In November, as I was driving home from work, I was rear-ended and my car was thrown off the freeway on-ramp. I managed to walk away without any injuries, much to the surprise of witnesses, but the car that I had been driving since high school was totaled. It left me in a weird place for a few days, as I felt nervous about driving, especially in the location I had been hit, but I moved past it. November also saw me complete another National Novel Writing Month, bringing the total word count so far for my novel, A Clash of Crimson, to 87,000. This brings me one step closer to my lifelong dream of becoming a published author. I continued to excel at work, and I was hired full-time as a content creation specialist / editor-in-chief from my internship. I continue to grow in my role, and I can't wait to see what I create going into 2021. Despite all of the hardships in 2020 and the uncertainty of the pandemic, I had grown and made it to December. I looked forward to the holiday season and the cheer that it brings. 2020 had one more terrible act to commit, however. On December 10th, I had to say goodbye to my cat Maisie, who joined the family when I was 5. I could barely remember a time before Maisie. Editing and writing without her laying on my desk, trying to help has been an adjustment, one that I won't get over anytime soon. While I could have done without the challenges of 2020, I know that I've emerged a stronger and better person than I was at the start of the year. Despite everything, I've been able to grow my audience, improve my craft, and the future looks bright. 2020 is a catalyst for change. Without these unprecedented challenges, I wouldn't have this motivation to go into 2021 ready to take on the world. Let's make 2021 a year to remember.